You okay, Arne?
You could choose between a blue and a red chair, and you are sitting on a red one. That's a positive thing.
You know what? I could have predicted you'd say that as
well.
Arne, obviously the written reasons have come out from the FA today regarding your touchline ban. There is a discrepancy between what you're accused of saying and obviously what you say you said. How do you feel about that? And also, what are your thoughts on how the whole process has been handled?
I think what I've said also in the written report, and I can say this one more time, that the moment it happened, I was quite emotional for everything what had happened in the last 7 or 8 minutes, and maybe during the whole game. And I chose to go on the pitch instead of staying calm, stay inside, and then talking to the referee, to Michael. Now I don't have these same emotions anymore, so I think I should now set a better example than I set back then, and don't go into this situation again. I think it's clear what I've said and what Michael has written, what I have written, and I think Michael has been in the news quite a lot recently, and I don't think it helps if I add something to that now. Now I have my emotions under control.
Well, we've spoken about the new format for the Champions League in the past. You've said that you weren't sure whether top spot in the league standings would be much of an advantage. So I just wonder, how much of an example is this tie of you not necessarily getting any advantage from what you achieved in the league standings?
No, that's clear, because I see Paris has been one of the strongest teams in Europe. And I think everyone agrees with me if you've seen them playing the last few weeks and the last few months already. So, but that can happen in the former format as well. So if you ended up number 1, then there was always one team that ended up number 2 where you felt like, we're hoping not to get that team. So it can happen in this format as well. And I think it's a great fixture to look forward to for everyone who loves football. Both teams scored so many goals this season. Quite similar playing styles, maybe not completely, but the ideas are quite similar. Both teams like to have the ball. Both teams work really hard without the ball. So I can come up with 6, 7, or 8 similar things that both teams are doing. So yeah, interesting fixture to look forward to.
Can I just check on Cody Gakpo? We didn't see him at training. Has he? I think he's travelled, hasn't he?
Yeah,
is he available?
Yeah. Yeah, he was close to be ready to play again, but unfortunately yesterday, I think it was, he had to block a shot, so he felt a bit of pain again. So we took him with us to judge how he is tomorrow, if he can be part of the squad, yes or no. But it will be a close call.
Jean-Marie in the middle.
Hi, Arne. Do you feel, because of the form that PSG are in, that you have got the toughest draw that you could have got?
Yeah, we could only have 2, Benfica or Paris Saint-Germain. And although I like Benfica a lot as well, I think everyone who watched football the last few months could have told you that maybe we had a bit of a how do you say this? Now, we would prefer probably to play against Benfica instead of Paris Saint-Germain. But this is also a great fixture to play. It's a great stadium to play. If you are playing at Liverpool, you want to play the big games. And this is definitely a big game, again, for us. So, so yes, we have to accept what the draw is. And it's for both teams are facing a very strong opponent. Not only us, they as well.
And so many individual comparisons that you can make between the two teams. I'm sure that people will pick out Salah and Dembele. How have you viewed Ousmane Dembele's return to top form really this season? What do you sense that he's done, and how's he got back to that level?
No, I think Luis Enrique did a lot of things really well over here in the past 1.5 seasons. He really created in a few transfer windows a team where I think, I don't know him, I haven't asked him, but I assume that he's quite happy with what he created over here, not only in team performance, but also in individual performance. If you look at the quality Dembele brings to the team at the moment is impressive. So that is one of the many similarities there are. Both are having attackers in great form, scoring a lot of goals, and all the other things I just said. But it's clear that that Luis Enrique did a great job over here in the past 1.5 season, and he was already in the semi-final of the Champions League last season. And in my opinion, this team is even better than the one that he managed last season.
Gentleman here, the front.
Hello, Lagadeta, Georgia. As I know, in winter, Liverpool wants to buy Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, but for now he's player of PSG. What do you think about this player? Thank you.
Yeah, probably you don't come from England, because in England people say we almost buy every player that there is in the world. So this is where people like him make their money for. If you go to England, you see Sky Sports, you see the whole day. Everybody's in. We are interested in almost every player in the world. It's a bit exaggerated, so I cannot talk about if we were interested, yes or no. What I can tell you is that he's a great player. He was in Spalletti's team from Napoli, which I love to watch when they were dominating the league in Italy and doing really well in Europe. I think they even faced Liverpool in that season. Yeah, so he's a great player. And Paris Saint-Germain has many of them, but he's definitely one of them.
Miguel, the front.
Hi Arne, has anyone spoken to you about, or have you read much on Joe Fagan? In his first season at Liverpool, he won a treble of League Cup and Champions League. And how are you feeling actually now that people like Luis Enrique are talking about Liverpool as the best team in Europe?
The first thing, my thoughts are not so much on these kind of things, because my thoughts are on Paris Saint-Germain. And if we finish this game, it's about Southampton. If we finish that one, it's again on Paris Saint-Germain. The good thing this week was it was the first time that we had a bit more time than all the other games we've played, because normally there were only 2 or 3 days in between. And that's definitely a good thing, because Paris Saint-Germain needs all our attention, and 2 days would probably not be enough to prepare the team well enough for this team, because I'm really impressed with what I saw clearly during the weekend. 4-0 lead at halftime. So yeah, they are a very good team. And the other question was?
Just about Luis Enrique saying Liverpool are now the best team in Europe.
Yeah. I think that's it's a nice compliment to get, but the best team in Europe has to win the Champions League, and we are far away from that, starting with a very difficult game tomorrow, and then all the difficult ones that are coming up, because we already know the draw. So I think the best team in Europe at the moment is still Real Madrid, because they won this competition last season. And to say, for us, someone else can say something different, but for us to say that, then you first have to win it before you can say this.
Huge Champions League clash as Liverpool face Paris Saint-Germain. Both teams running away with their domestic leagues right now. Ahead of the game, Luis Enrique declared Liverpool as the best team in Europe, a label Arne Slot isn't comfortable with yet. He insists Liverpool need to win the Champions League to be considered Europe's best.
It's a nice compliment to get, but the best team in Europe has to win the Champions League, and we are far away from that, starting with a very difficult game tomorrow, and then all the difficult ones that are coming up, because we already know the draw. So I think the best team in Europe at the moment is still Real Madrid, because they won this competition last season. And to say, for us, someone else can say something different, but for us to say that, then you first have to win it before you can say this.
OK, let's look ahead to this game further. Pete and Doogie are with me. It's one of the eagerly anticipated matchups tonight. It's Mo Salah coming up against Ousmane Dembele. How are the two comparing?
Well, 2 incredible individual seasons within teams having very good seasons, because PSG, like Liverpool, are 13 points clear at top of Ligue 1, and both sides vying for this Champions League that they're so desperate to get hold of. But look at these individual performances across all competitions this season. From 39 games, Salah has got 30 goals. Dembele, he's got 26 from 33. He scored 20 goals since mid-December, Rob. This is a player in red-hot form at the moment. Of course, look, Salah, 22 assists. He beats Dembele by some margin in that creativity regard, but in terms of the shots and the chances they're creating, there's no doubt these are the 2 men that each opposing manager will be thinking about how can they stop tonight, because they surely will have a big bearing on which of these sides goes through to the next round.
It's incredible numbers there, especially in that time frame that you mentioned. So what's clicking for him?
Well, yeah, as Peter says, 18 goals this calendar year, equaling Messi's record. Absolutely phenomenal in 2025, as this graphic shows. Salah has been in fantastic form throughout the entire season, probably the Ballon d'Or favourite, but the form player in the world right now is Ousmane Dembele. 12 games, 17 goals, 7 more than Salah, who's played 1 more game as well. That's not meaning to anger Liverpool fans. Salah's still been excellent, but Dembele is the form player in the world. And I think it's an interesting sort of moment for him, obviously. You know, he came through at Rennes, he only had a season there, went to Dortmund, only had 1 season playing under Thomas Tuchel before he becomes an €100 million player at Barcelona. Slightly struggles with his mentality, maybe. There were some reports about him going to bed very late, that he loved gaming. He had a lot of injury issues as well. Maybe he wasn't quite as professional as he could have been. Missed over 100 games there. But even in his first year at PSG last year, he scored just 3 league goals. And this year, he's already on 18 goals in the league. That's the most in Ligue 1. And I think it comes from a number of factors. Firstly, he's played a lot more centrally this season under Luis Enrique. Gonzalo Ramos and Kolo Muani, who's now at Juventus, have not really been utilised by Luis Enrique in that number 9 slot. And he's just become a lot more selfish in the box as well. His shots have gone from about 2.5 per game to over 4. He's now getting over 50% on target, while still creating over 2 chances per game and completing 2 dribbles. So he really has finally matured. And sometimes, you know, having seen Bellingham and Wirtz and Musiala and players like this really mature in their late teens, most players, at least 10, 15 years ago, it was considered around 26, 27 was the era where most players peak. So Ousmane Dembele, less of a late bloomer, maybe just more of the norm.
Oh, I like that thinking. A couple of goals in the last couple of games for Dominic Szoboszlai. Pete, what have you found around him?
Yeah, increasingly important player for Liverpool, Szoboszlai. Look, from the first time he arrived at the club, he's been praised for his running on the ball, his pressing, what he can deliver. I remember speaking to Jurgen Klopp very early on. He spoke about fantastic shot he's got on him from long range. But this man, Arne Slot, challenged him at the end of September and said, yes, we love everything that Szoboszlai brings to the team, but we need to see more end product. We need to see more goals. Now, look, let's go from before and after the November international break, because it looks like Szoboszlai has listened to those demands and delivered. Because in the 16 games before the November international break, just 1 goal from him season. But then in the 20 games since, 6 goals scored. His assists are up as well since that November international break. And just generally, we can see quite markedly, really, his attacking output has increased across those per 90 stats, just showing that this is a player now operating in almost a number 10 role for Liverpool in their attack, is finding a way to get into the box and find dangerous positions like he did at the weekend to turn in his goal there. He's played almost like a false 9 against Man City, a quite unusual formation that Arne Slot set up with there. But Szoboszlai, wherever he is on the pitch, wherever he's being deployed, is finding a way to be much more threatening around the box than perhaps he wasn't previously, and becoming a much more complete player because of it.
He looks quite pleased for those.
Well,
doesn't he?
Rightly so.
He does. He's just giving it. Yep. PSG spent big. Kavica Kvaratskhelia in January. He was a name that was linked to the Premier League, including with Liverpool. What can you tell us about him, Doogie? And how has he started life in France?
Well, this is their form, PSG's form, and Kvaratskhelia has played a crucial role in this. So you can see that across their last 10 games, they've won all 10, and this is the best record in Europe across the last 10 games. Great to see the likes of Crystal Palace up there as well, and Brighton. Don't forget Brighton as well. But Ajax as well, Barcelona, who play tonight against Benfica. But PSG have really, really clicked, and Kvaratskhelia has been a key part of that as well. There was some speculation about Liverpool, but it did feel like that move to PSG was kind of sewn up very early, because I think the likes of Arsenal could have potentially done with him as well. But he started very effectively. He's got 5 goal involvements in 10 games. He's a little bit differently to how he was used in Naples. He's been used sometimes as a false 9. He's sometimes been used on the right, whereas in Naples he's much more used on the left. But it's a very fluid front three with Bradley Barcola and Ousmane Dembele, who we've already mentioned, Desiree Doué coming off the bench really effectively as well. And his output hasn't taken any step back, despite the, well, not necessarily step up in quality, because Serie A is a very competitive league, but the step up in intrigue, let's say, because last year in the Champions League he largely struggled, to be honest, and Napoli side that really struggled to replicate their league-winning form the year before. They eventually finished 10th. They went through 3 managers. Kvaratskhelia didn't score in the Champions League, but in his previous game against Brest, in that 7-0 win, he grabbed a goal and an assist. And look, Brest isn't the toughest opponent for PSG. They haven't lost to them since 1985. But it's amazing to see players that were either sort of not deemed not good enough by other clubs, like Vitinha, who had that spell at Wolves a few years ago, or these big investments that they've made in recent windows in young players like Dembele and Kvaratskhelia and Barcola really come to the fore and create a really dynamic team that just seem very, very complete right now. And I think I've got this down as Liverpool's hardest game of the season. I still think Liverpool are favourites across 2 legs, but they haven't played a PSG side or a side in this kind of form all season.
OK, the detractors to that would say Ligue 1 is in the Premier League. Is it hard to up your game to a higher level with the flick of a switch? But you're very much pro PSG here. I wonder how big a threat they're going to pose in this tie then.
Well, I'm pro PSG in terms of their chances for sure. I'm not sure they'll necessarily win, but I do really think they'll give Liverpool a really difficult game. Look, they've had last 16 implosions in the past. They've actually been knocked out of 5 of their last 8. Last 16 ties, Liverpool have made, 3 finals since 2018, winning 1 in 2019. They have the outstanding pedigree in this competition, being 6-time winners. PSG have never won it. But the form team right now, in terms of with the form player, is Ousmane Dembele. And I really do think that with Liverpool's left-back situation, with Tsimikas and Robertson potentially not being favoured there long-term, that is an area that PSG can get at Liverpool. And I think this will be an absolutely thunderous atmosphere at the Parc des Princes.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the route to the final, because this year, of course, we know what they have to get through. And I'm hearing you saying that this could be the toughest one for them this season. Is it the toughest one on the route to the final if Real Madrid or Arsenal get through above them? How's it looking?
Well, it's going to be a blockbuster semi-final, isn't it? You'd say if one of these sides get through and then meet a Real Madrid, obviously leading Atletico Madrid 2-1, Arsenal pretty much home and hosed into the quarterfinals themselves. It's interesting that teams can see what's coming up as well, because Club Brugge and Aston Villa know that they have a very daunting quarter-final, whichever of these sides gets through. And I'm like Dugo, I think this is going to be an absolute blockbuster game, a real fantastic tie across 2 legs here. And hard to call, because I think PSG are quite transformed really from the side earlier on in the Champions League, who were pretty unconvincing, I thought, at Arsenal, at the Emirates. But then the team that went on and smashed Man City in the second half of that game in Paris, much better from them, and perhaps a side peaking at the right time. We've seen Dembele's numbers, and maybe just things are pointing in the right direction for PSG to hit Liverpool at this stage. But it's going to be a fantastic tie, I think.
OK, let's take a look at Opta's predictions too then. Is this how you both see it for Liverpool?
Yeah, I think it probably is fair enough. Chance of winning overall this is before last night's game. So Liverpool, the favourites, 19.2%. I think that's potentially a little bit generous, given the fact that they do have to play 15-time champions Real Madrid potentially in a semi-final. They also need to get past the PSG side that are completely rampant. On the other side of the draw, Barcelona have Benfica. They've then got Dortmund or potentially Lille to get to a semi-final. So they've got an easier run to it. I think what I'd most like to see is an El Clasico final, to be totally honest. I think Barcelona, Real Madrid, the narrative on that would be absolutely exceptional. You know, Barcelona haven't won a Champions League since 2015, so it'd be 10 years since then. Real Madrid have won 6 of the last 11, but have conceded 9 goals in 2 games to Barcelona this season. So for me, that would be the best tie possible. But from an English perspective, Liverpool the clear favourites out of Arsenal and Aston Villa.
I'm sure Villa fans would be giving themselves a bit more than 0.9% of a chance.
Well, it's better to have 0.9 than 0.
Well, that's true.
Let's go there. And we've just got to point out that Real Madrid figure is because it's based over this season's performances in the Champions League, where they obviously kind of stuttered a little in that sort of
Seen them
table.
turn up a lot of times.
Do we call that a group stage or a table stage?
A league phase.
League phase. There we go. All right, so that's that. Let's get more from Jose Mourinho. Alluded to a moment ago, Liverpool in Paris to face PSG. We know about their league form, but if they're to go and win in Paris, how big a statement would that be to the rest of Europe?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when you look at Liverpool and their away form in Europe, you know, it's very good. You know, having won 16 of the last 22 away games in the Champions League. You know, it's impressive considering, you know, when you look at Liverpool, they'll get to the latter stages of the competition more or less every time they're in it. So, I mean, a lot of people over the years have looked at PSG and you know, and just looked at the superstars they've had. This team is different. This is a team now. Yes, there is still some players there from, you know, the superstar era as such as when you look at Hakimi and Marquinhos and Donnarumma and goals, but you kind of look at this team right now and it's more together. And Liverpool are going to have to be at their best to come through this tie. There is no doubt PSG will be looking at it saying, listen, we've got the most difficult tie of anyone in this round of the Champions League. But you could argue Liverpool will be saying something similar. I know Real Madrid are of the X factor of the Champions League, shall we say, but you know, for going to Paris and trying to come away with a result, considering they're on a 22-match unbeaten run, 119 as well. They've scored over 100 goals this season as well. PSG, they're in good form and confident. Dembele scoring goals. They've got you know, players that will create from all over the pitch. So Liverpool are going to have to defend. And when you look at at PSG, a lot of it is down, you know, the flanks. So you'd imagine, you know, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson are going to have to defend really well. Usually a lot of teams will try and get it forward through the middle with Konate and Van Dijk that's left to deal with a lot of it. But the wide areas are really, really strong for PSG. And, you know, the runs that, you know, is made from the wider players could cause Liverpool problems. But at the same time, they'll be saying if they can get, you know, their forward players on the ball, you know, and the midfielders in terms of, you know, creating opportunities for Salah, Diaz, and whoever else, you know, that Arne decides to go with. If they can get them in, you know, they can cause them problems. But it's got the makings of, you know, what would be a great Champions League tie, that's for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned Ousmane Dembele there. And this is a potential battle as well for the Ballon d'Or. Although don't let Vinicius Junior hear you say that, because they just won't turn up. But these two going head to head. Who would you rather have in your team, Salah, Dembele?
I think they're two different players. You know, Dembele has obviously moved for a lot of money. When you go back to, you know, from Rennes to Dortmund to Barcelona, it didn't quite happen for him at Barcelona consistently, but there was moments there when you looked and thought this you know, he's a top player. He's went back you know, home to France, and you look at the performances he's put in for PSG, they've been exceptional. It was probably the kind of last throw of the dice for him at the top level of European football, because as I said, we'd seen it in stops and starts for Barcelona. Mohamed Salah does it week in, week out in the best league in the world. You know, for me, I think I would, you know, obviously the age difference is you know, if you to pick right now, Dembele's got, you know, a lot of years on Salah, but I mean, Mo Salah's just outstanding. I mean, what he does and what he contributes to that Liverpool team and what he has for a number of years now. You know, and to think when you go back to the start, when the signing was made, there was a lot of people saying, oh, why are we, you know, signing this player that's failed at Chelsea? Well, not so much failed, but didn't really hit the heights you expected. He had to go away and build his reputation back up, and that's exactly what he's done. But you've got to say, I mean, when you look at Mohamed Salah, the numbers he's put up, and you start to put together a Liverpool greats, he's right at the top of it for what he's delivered in this period of time. Considering, you know, when Manchester City have been so dominant, but yet Mohamed Salah has still been able to come through, score the goals, win trophies. He's definitely a Liverpool great. So for that, I've went around it, but I'm going to take Mohamed Salah still.
Okay. I would always take you, Chris. That's who I would take.
You want me to stay again?
If you could, because I'll tell you what, we're going to chat.
You must be got a break.
We're going to chat Rangers, who are facing Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce, and that prospective takeover as well. So stay with us for that one.
Particularly because it's away for Liverpool?
Yeah, I think it's a tough game for Liverpool, I really do. Probably one of the toughest games of the season away from home. I think PSG are a different animal now with the legs they have all over the pitch, the attacking options they have as well. I think Kenny mentioned before the game about maybe the two fullbacks at Liverpool as well is possibly their only weakness defensively. And I don't think it's an easy game at all for Liverpool tomorrow night.
What way is it going to go? Who wants to go next? Neil?
Well, after tonight, it's really hard to call, isn't it? I think Liverpool will go through over the 2 games. I don't know how they'll go tonight, tomorrow night. Liverpool don't play cagey, you know, and it could be end-to-end stuff. I think both teams will score tomorrow as well.
They do like a bit of control, though, don't they? Liverpool, this Liverpool do like a bit of control,
yeah,
a bit of caginess.
I do think with Canary and Van Dijk there as well, I mean, you know, they're one of the best central partnerships in world football at the minute. I just think over the 2 games, Liverpool have just enough.
Kenny, do you want to go against the grain? Wouldn't be the first time.
No, I can understand that argument Neil's just made. He's correct in everything that he says. Sometimes it's just a bit of a gut feeling. Just think of that attacking threat. Spoke about Barkley and Dembele off the flanks, but don't forget about Hakimi and Mendes in the full back positions, doubling up as well. You know, we know about Trent 1v1, but he's going to be 2v1 tomorrow night because Salah isn't going to track back and help him either. So that's the potential dangers for Liverpool, but we know about Liverpool's strengths. We've seen it all season. Over the 2 legs, you'd have to fancy him to go through. I'm just not sure.
All right. That's it. The carnival is over. Lads, thanks so much to Neil, to Shay and to Kenny. That's it.